Hi, I'm Chris. I'm the founder of Foxley Consulting. It's my mission to share the passion and commitment that I have to commercial excellence with everybody, not just the chosen few. The topic of this video is to talk about coping with stress and coping with pressure, but particularly if you are seen as someone who is sensitive and maybe a little bit more subject to feelings of anxiety and feelings of stress. Everybody finds commercial meetings stressful. They carry a whole weight of uncertainty and a weight of expectation for success, which puts people under pressure. If you're somebody that naturally feels sensitive or anxious, then it's likely that these feelings can become completely debilitating and mean you can't even function in what most people would consider to be a simple environment. So how can you succeed? Well, first of all, let's understand what sensitivity is. Sensitivity is a feeling of anxiety. If you're the kind of person that enters a room full of people and feels complete dread and fear, then it could be you're anxious. If you find yourself standing on the edge of conversations, unable to speak or unable to participate because you worry about what people think or what people say, you could be anxious and stressed. If you presenting to a group of people fills you with dread, then you could be sensitive and anxious. But it's not a bad thing. When you look at what sensitivity means, it carries a whole lot of opportunities for people who are commercial. Let me give you some examples. Sensitive people tend to be able to tap into the emotions of others. They're very empathetic. That's a huge advantage in commercial environments because you're able to listen and understand the feeling of the person who's sitting across the table from you, and helps you to empathize and understand. It helps you to recognize how they're feeling, when they're ready to buy, what issues are important to them, what need state that they're in. You have a connection with somebody that people who don't have that level of empathy just can't have. Sensitive people are also very skilled at attention to detail. They worry about the little things, which means that when you're running service, they often are able to reach a higher standard of performance because their attention to detail is much better. They worry about how people feel, what they see and what they notice. They're also excellent team players because they are great at connecting the group together, bringing people together around a common cause and common goal, and focusing on how the rest of the team are feeling. So very important team players. With all these advantages, it's really important that you bring in skilled people, put them in front of your customers and help them to perform to their maximum. So how can you help them to cope with stress, cope with pressure, and be successful? At Foxley Consulting, coping with pressure is one of our key commercial skills. And we've broken it down into 4 areas that are important for everyone, not just for those people who are anxious or stressed. But clearly, if you feel very anxious ahead of meetings, then getting these things right is incredibly important for you. So what are they? Well, the first one is to share responsibility. If you're entering an uncertain moment, uncertain time, and it's all on you to define success, the pressure is focused just on you. However, if you're working within a group or working within a team, that same level of responsibility is shared amongst the other people. So getting people involved, taking them to give them a particular role, a particular function in the team, and sharing accountability for delivery of a particular project and problem means that responsibility is split, and it reduces the feelings of stress and anxiety that might be associated with that situation. The second thing is to plan and prepare for problems. Problems are what causes anxiety. It's the uncertainty of not knowing what's going to happen. And therefore, if you spend time thinking about what the possibilities are, then more importantly, planning for how you will cope with those things. What will you do? What will you say if those things happen? Then it reduces the feelings of anxiety, because it's no longer something you didn't expect. It's just part and parcel of your planning process. Many people think about what the problems are, but they focus on them. And instead of solving them and working out what they'll do, they just use them as a reason to avoid or a reason to feel anxious or feel stressed. So go that step further and plan for what activity you're going to do to reduce the feeling of anxiety. The third level is to practice. Everybody practices. Top sports stars, speakers, public speakers, even revision ahead of exams is practicing. People do past papers to prepare themselves for the type of questions and the type of situations they're going to be facing. It's no different when you're commercial. Spend time getting together with team members and rehearsing how you're going to present. What are you going to say? What questions might they throw at you? By doing so, you build your confidence that you are capable of delivering and able to do so in the situation that you're going to find yourself in. The more that people do, the more comfortable and more confident they become. By not doing it, all they're doing is heightening that level of anxiety. So force yourself to practice and prepare. And the final thing is to put things into perspective. Too often people wonder about what's going to happen and what the implications are. And at this moment in time, it might feel like a hugely important moment in your life. The question you've got to ask yourself is, in 5 years' time, will I still feel the same? Will it still be the most important thing in my life? If the answer to that question is probably not, then put it into that level of perspective. Don't worry about it too much. Instead, do the other three things. Work as a team, prepare for problems and plan for them, and practice. And then you'll know that you are more likely to be successful. So think about how you might use these things to reduce your feelings of anxiety, but also to support people who suffer with increased anxiety because they're a bit more sensitive than the average person. If you do so, you will feel more confident, you will be more successful, and you will be delivering better results. To learn more about what we do at Foxley Consulting, visit the website on foxleyconsulting.com or follow us on Facebook at Foxley Consulting.